Yeah, video on Cam Newton. So, what's happening with this situation is from what I see and what I'm hearing and just talking to guys and looking at the landscape. I'm an old guy. It looks like what's happening in America is that things have changed. This is not the 1940s anymore. This is not the 1920s. Women are now independent. They're getting their own money. They're making their own boss moves. They're becoming bosses themselves. They have their own cars. And so they're very empowered and very independent. And what men are saying, like Cam, is that okay, yeah, you're strong, you're independent, you have your own house, you have your own car, you have your own career, you have it going on, but you can't do the so quote unquote traditional things like my mom and like my grandma could do. And so that makes you not the partner for me. And oh boy, did he step in it. Let's talk about it. NTB, man. All right, MTB, man. So what Cam Newton said about his needs and his woman, particularly being able to cook and, give him some silence, it's indicative of, some men's view of the world and some men's view of relationships, where they believe that a woman should have some traditional old school values, as he mentioned, like he saw in his mother and his grandmother. That's prevalent, ladies and gentlemen. You have a lot of men who won't say that in public because it's not politically correct to say that. And Cam ventured out into them waters and he said something in public that many men only say in private, in their discussions with like-minded men in rooms where they feel safe to speak. But his error, if you want to call it an error, I'm sure he probably doesn't, is that he voiced it out loud and it triggered people. People were triggered all around. And a lot of the triggering comes from the fact that, these are new days and that old modern or that old school view of relationships, men and women, is not as prevalent as it used to be. And so again, the modern day woman is very independent. She's very empowered. She has a lot of her own abilities to succeed in the world, in the workplace, buy her own home, buy her own car, and the need to cook and clean is not necessarily a barometer of who she is as a woman, as many modern people view the world. And so Cam Newton's statement came across as, to many people, as antiquated and offensive. And again, to him and to many others, and I'm telling you, as many others, it's not offensive, and it's just real talk coming from a man who is very established and who has standard of what he wants in his partner. And so a lot of the modern women are not necessarily going to subscribe to that standard, and they're going to take umbrage with it, and rightfully so. They have the right to do it. The issue is, and I did a video early on, the issue is that this confliction or this tension between the man who wants that modern woman and he urges for that not the modern woman, he urges for that, so-called traditional woman that he's seen in his mother and his grandmother and his great-grandmother and big mama. It's a tension with the modern day reality of the Western world. So there's a tension there. And so you're seeing the friction online. You're seeing it in discussions amongst groups, and it's real. Again, I did a video earlier on about the decline in marriage, and the friction that you see by Cam Newton's statement is just a small part of the friction that you see in relationships, in the courts, and in the society. You have people who are just on totally different pages. You have some people who are looking for traditional, quote-unquote, old school values. They're having problems with that description because modern day thinking in the West is not 1930s, 1940s, 1950s America. It's just not. So for Cam to reach back into the days of old and look for, those particular things, it's offensive to some people because the modern day world has moved on, and some of the things that were traditional and accepted as so, they're not there anymore. It's gone. It's over. And to yearn for that in your mind is one thing, but to openly express that on the open airways is something totally different. You're gonna get a reaction. You're gonna also get pushback. And so again, Cam Newton has his standards. He has his beliefs. He's not the only one, though. I'll let you know that. He's not alone in his yearning for what a lot of people call traditional values in a partner. But a lot of people say, and particularly with Cam Newton's background, I think he has a couple of baby mothers. People might not look at him as the premier person to voice these so-called standards when, he might have, in a lot of people's minds, come up a little bit short in terms of how he deals with relationships. And so Cam Newton has his wants, his wishes, his desires in a partner, but many in the world are pushing back, saying, no, Cam, we have to tackle you on this one. You've committed a foul. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure there's varying opinions on both sides of this tale. So feel free to voice your thoughts and comments in the chat. NTB, man.